I'll call the meeting to order at 9:03. I guess the first thing on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, so I need a mover and a second there to adopt the agenda.
I'll put the motion forward.
Terry moves it. Jim
I'll second it.
seconds it. All in favor?
Yeah.
Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does any of the members have interest they'd like to declare at this time? Seeing none, we'll go on to the minutes. Everybody has had a copy of the minutes to review. Any questions or anything, any problems with the minutes? Excuse me, if not, I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes as circulated.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Jim makes a motion. Terry seconds.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Business arising from the minutes? Saying nothing, we'll go on to financials. Here, everybody has also had a copy of that to review. Don't know if I don't have any questions. Any of the members have any questions on the financials? Yeah, we got probably 3 more months to come, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't think, yeah. I don't think anything looks out of line there at all.
Only, I should mention, the only thing that is missing in today financials is public space sponsored revenue fees that we charge. And the reason for it, it's not that it's missing, it's just not being recognized this month because of the way it was to catch up at the end of
All right, I guess we should probably have a resolution adopting the financials. Yep. I need a mover and a seconder for that.
I'll bring the motion forward.
Terry, Jim seconds it.
Yes, Jim second.
All in favor? Staff reports. I guess it says budget for something, but maybe we want to do the rates first. I guess it's kind of part of the budget, but.
yeah, if you could put that PowerPoint presentation on the screen. Just before we start the budget, Bill Denning is coming. He should be here within a couple of minutes. Should we wait? Oh, I think he's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill, yep. Chair, no problem. We just started the important part of the budget. Okay.
Let me know when.
Right.
So 2024 arena budget, So in this budget, we'll be discussing fees and charges for next year, revenue, operating expenses, capital expenses, and reserves. Next slide, please. So the objective of our arena budgets is to have financial sustainability, ensure that the arena's operations are financially sustainable, cost control and manage operating expenses, revenue generation, maximize revenue through various means such as sign sale, hosting events all year round. Capital investment, allocate funds for capital improvements and ensure the facility remains in good condition and meets safety and operational standards, as well as long-term planning, long-term sustainability of the arena, expanding the facility. There is plans. We received $250,000 money from Kraft. Now we just have to develop plans for the future with that money. And transparency and accountability. I want to make sure that we maintain transparency with the board and council and are accountable in financial reporting. Next slide, please. So in your agenda, I provided you with proposed fees and charges for 2024, as well as 2 years history of where the fees were in prior years. This year, I am proposing for ice rental 10% increase. I have no choice but aggressively raise prime time rates and regular rates by 10% as the inflation is just hitting us hard. There was not a lot of increases in prior years, and this year we have no choice but to catch up. Otherwise, we might get in financial trouble. So what it means for prime time rates, there's going to be an increase of $17 an hour. Youth rate, minor rate, we're looking at $14 increase per hour. Off prime time rate, $8 increase per hour. Arena warm room rental, $3 per hour, and skate sharpening, I'm proposing 67% increase, which equals to $4. I'm raising skate sharpening rates from $6 to $10 to meet what other businesses basically are charging. So we're just bringing the rates to the other businesses. As for public skating, I'm proposing $5 per person, which is quite hefty increase of 67%, or $10 per family, which will equal to 25% increase. And for sponsored public skating, we're looking at $130.50 per an hour and a half of skating, which equals to $12 increase. Does anybody have any questions in terms of increases before I move to the next slide?
I guess the one question I may have is, have we done comparison with other arenas, and how do we line up with the ice time charges on for those?
Yes, we have, and that would be my next slide.
Okay.
So my next slide will show you prime time rates for adult and minor. Those are 2023 rates. West Algan is right at the very end. Currently, we're charging $168 for adult prime time rate, and for minor rate is $142. As you can see, we're below the average of what other places are charging. If you go to the next slide, so I inputted this one. So my assumption was that nobody else will raise their rates for 2024, with the exception of West Elgin. So as you can see, if we raise our prime time rate to $185 and minor rate to $156, we're still below the average of $191 for prime time rate, or $157 for minor rate. Anybody have any questions on that one? Hey. Move to the next one. So in your budget, based on the proposed increase, I'm estimating $136,000 in ice rental revenue. Just so the board is aware, prime time hours based on our facility scheduler. So there's a total of 1,600 hours, 12 hours of prime time. How I calculated that, so prime time is defined during on weekdays between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m., which equals to 6 hours per day, 5 days a week. That equals to 30 hours. Then on the weekends, prime time is available, arena ice time is available from 7 a.m. to roughly 11 p.m. That's 16 hours times 2 days, equals to 32 hours. Then total of both, 62 hours times roughly 26 weeks of arena ice equals to 12 hours per season. And our current rate in 2023, we have in our facility schedule 1,033 hours of sold prime time, which equals to 64% of utilization rate. So there's still prime time available, and there is still a possibility of renting ice to other groups. Non-prime time hours are between 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Roughly 47 and a half hours per week times 26 weeks equals 1,235 hours. This year, for the entire year, there was only 136 and a half hours utilized, which gives us utilization rate of only 11%. Total utilization rate for 2023 ice rental is 41%. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Thank you, through the chair. Probably more so to the staff. Is there, first of all, any other groups still kind of looking around for ice time? And is there anything that we can consider doing that we haven't already done to market our ice to other areas?
Through the chair, I guess to answer your first question, generally all the groups that are looking for seasonal ice have that kind of sewn up in August, September, where they're going to go. So the possibility of somebody coming along and taking a whole block of ice for the season at this point now is relatively small. We're probably more into the one-offs where they're looking for an extra slot here or there. As far as marketing goes, we reached out back before the start of the season when staff were building the schedule. We reached out to all the groups that had utilized in the past to let them know. And we did get some interest out of that. But outside of that, I would say, like, as far as marketing goes, no.
Are there any other questions? Okay, let's move to the next slide. So the next slide is sign rental. This year, we were able to sell 39 wall signs and 2 Zamboni signs. We are projecting sign revenue rental in the amount close to $5,500 next year, based on if you refer back to your fees and charges schedule. I am proposing significant increase for advertising space rental. And the reason for it is I realize that we're not generating a lot of revenue from sign rental. However, if you compare arena sign rental to typical advertising in Chronicle, we're way, way cheap. A quarter of a page in Chronicle cost roughly $500. And it only lasts a week. So I am proposing for wall signs increase I'm proposing increase of $45 to $150. For ICE logos, proposing $75 increase to $600. The same with Zamboni, and board wrapping from $260 to $350, which is $90 increase. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's move to the next slide. Public skating. So this year, again, thanks to staff, we have been able to book 27 sponsored events. And here is the list of sponsors that are offering free ice to our community. They're Wollaston Optimist Club, Rodney Lions Club, Rockland Flooring, Optimist Club of West Lorne, Dirt Devils, Rodney Kiwanis Club, West Lorne Kiwanis Club, Glencoe Family Dentistry, West Elgin Automotive, and Dutton Foodland. So we're hoping next year we can do similar thing. There's more businesses coming, and we can generate extra revenue for that. It's a great idea to have those sponsored. At least staff does not have to deal with cash and brings almost fixed income every week. So great thing to have that next year as well. Next slide, please. As I mentioned to you, skate sharpening, I am proposing $4 increase. As of October 31st, we sharpened 154 skates. Knowing that this type of service is much needed, and the price that we will be charging, that I'm proposing to charge for next year, is very competitive with any other places. Well, also this will also bring additional revenue to the arena. That's correct.
For a new rate.
$10. Skate sharpening revenue fluctuates from year to year. Therefore, I'm just budgeting $1,300 just to be safe. Okay, any questions on this slide? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So I went back to 2019 just to show you how our operating and capital expenses have been fluctuating from year to year. Pandemic didn't help as well. So as you can see, it was on constant up and down, but there were reasons why our operating expenses in certain years were extremely high. For instance, in 2020, the board as well as both council decided to remove mold that was growing over a number of years. This was huge job, cost us additional $105,000. As well as in 2022, the board decided to, with mold removal and painting, dehumidification system is required in the arena. Board decided to set money aside for the next few years to put that system in place. Last year, we were able to set to move $100,000 into reserves. This year, we're planning another $50,000. And then in 2024, another $40,000. We're hoping that $190,000 will be a sufficient amount of money to put that system in place. Anybody have any questions on this one? Okay, let's go to the next one. And this slide shows you revenues versus expenses. As you can see, expenses exceed our revenues, and the level of deficit is fluctuating based on operating expenses, operating and capital expenses. So it goes up and down constantly. Going forward, what we're planning on doing is to set the level deficit at a certain point so it doesn't fluctuate from year to year, as it puts both municipalities in financial inability to cover the cost. So going forward, we will be developing multi-year budget as the arena is aging, and we have to consider capital replacement in the next 10 years. Therefore, I will be proposing additional $50,000 transfer to reserves every year to cover the cost of major capital replacement. Any questions on that slide?
Thank you, through the chair. Major capital replacements. So in your estimation, what exactly does that look like? What are we talking about?
We're working on asset management. I don't have that answer today. I know that once our asset management is done, it's going to hit us hard. And we have to take precautionary steps to kind of eliminate ups and downs in our budget and financials, as there is less and less money. Inflation is high. Don't know what operating expenses are going to look 2 years from now. Hopefully the cost within the next 2 years will be more stabilized. But as you can see from year to year, we're on, since pandemic ended, we're on constant increase. Operating expenses are from 2022 to 2023, we're looking at 8% increase in operating expenses itself. And we're projecting another 6% next year.
So thank you for that. And just to follow up on that, so are we talking though about the life expectancy of the arena as it is now coming to an end in the next 10 years, as in like full replacement of arena?
Not the full replacement, but equipment replacement. So I can't even, honestly, I have no technical
I can
expertise.
speak to this. I deal with this all the time at work. So basically what it is, you look at your arena, you look at all your components, like your compressor, your air conditioning, your heating system, your ventilation system. And then you put like a life expectancy on it, when it's gonna last to and when it's gonna run out. So basically, when you do your studies on that stuff, then you can go forward and figure, okay, 8 years, we gotta do the air conditioner, 12 years, you gotta do the compressor, 13 years, you gotta do the heater. And then you just kind of get in a cycle of that and you just do your checks to make sure that it's either gonna require that repair or you can push it 2 years and just kind of keep following through on that kind of stuff.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, next slide is capital reserves. So as I mentioned to you, in 2022, we set aside $100,000 for the humidification system. Another 40,000 will be transferred this year, and another 50,000 in 2024, giving us total of $190,000. As well as we have arena renovations. Money came from Craftville, $250,000. On the top of that, West Elgin Council contributed $150,000. So by the end of this year, we'll have $400,000 in reserves. At this point, I can't speak of the capital project, whether we have enough money or not. I guess minor hockey, the committee is working on plans and cost estimates, so that will be probably disclosed to the board next year, I would assume. So at this point, there is no plans for this project. Next slide, please. As for capital forecast, so again, dehumidification system, even though we'll have money available next year, we still, I didn't put that in the budget as don't know whether we can move on with this project, knowing that there will be major renovations in the arena. So that's why at this point, it's in capital forecast. The same with change room expansions. End of my slideshow. Does anybody have any questions?
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I have a question to the chair. Thanks for the explanation and everything. Good. Going forward with these, the craft money coming in and what the municipality is putting in, and Terry talking about life expectancy of equipment. Would all those factors be considered when we're doing this expansion? Dating the life expectancy of the facility, pouring the money in to update from the Craftville. Going forward, is that going to be part of the equation to keep things going that we can cover costs 10 years?
That's the idea. Just like Terry mentioned, this entire asset management, to be honest, there is not too many assets. Back when arena was built and the system was put in place, it was capitalized as one big item. The idea going forward is to split all the assets into different components, assign cost to it, and then provide the board with a cost estimate for future replacement.
Kind of thinking with this expansion that'll take place over the next, whatever the time frame is. Craftville, craft hockey, I should say, sorry. Put all this money in, do the renovation, and then a few years down the road, we gotta knock out walls again and all the rest of the stuff that roof, so on and so forth. I don't know what the plan is going forward. Or as committees.
Well, I guess through the chair, just to answer that, certainly any expansion work that's gonna be done as part of the expansion through the craft hockey bill money. Would be, that's why we haven't included anything in the capital budget for this year, any works, just because until that subcommittee starts to narrow down what it is that they want to do with that money and where it's going to be put. Certainly if work that's going to be done to the facility is going to be done, if that involves components of the building that are in their life cycle to be changed anyways, then that would be part of that project, right? But, you know, there's other things like Terry mentioned, like compressors and things like that, that certainly have their own cycle, and that we don't foresee at this point right now that craft money, judging by where that committee is kind of looking so far, I don't think that's on their radar as far as mechanical upgrades as part of that work. That answers your question.
Any other questions? I guess we didn't go through the operating expenses line by line and I don't know if we just take a quick peek there, if there's anything any questions that anyone has, we can go back and do that. And I guess it's also on capital as well. And I guess the one question, just not a question, more as a statement, but these proposed ice rate increases, they wouldn't come into effect start of the year for minor hockey and skating. It would be start in September and the new season starts, so it doesn't affect their budget. They have some time to plan for it. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page there. The one question I have on capital is, I know last year we talked about the Zamboni conversion and we didn't do that. I see it didn't get forward. Is that something we should be looking at, or is that something that we want to leave on the back burner for a while?
I have reached out to a company and I've had a very hard time getting any kind of response from them. But we did put that off because of Craft Hockeyville stuff, and it is something that I think needs to get done at some point. Burning gasoline in a closed building just doesn't sit right, but I'm not sure. Again, maybe goes back to life expectancy of equipment, because eventually we will have to go down the road of Zamboni replacement. So I'm not sure. Not that should be forecasted in the near future. We still have some life left, but.
And I guess that was my concern, is the propane safer than natural gas, than gasoline in there, but I guess kind of leave it up to staff if they think that's something we should carry forward in this year's budget. Now's the time to do so, I guess. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
With regards to the conversion, as it stands right now, we are in compliance.
We have recently had a emissions test done to it, and that's their recommendation to be in compliance is to run the Zamboni 5 minutes prior to flood, 5 minutes after flood. It's just fuel costs, additional fuel costs that we could avoid, but it's the initial cost of the conversion. And from Zamboni themselves, because of the age of the machine, they would be taking supplies from other machines that have been traded in and just kind of retrofitting rather than putting new equipment on to our machine. So I did source a third party company, and that's the company that chooses not to. give me a quote, so.
Just to add to that, I think that, you know, this capital forecast, we really wanted to just buckle down and try and put as much away as possible for what's coming with craft and these types of things. And, you know, we do have some life left in that machine, but at this time, you know, maybe if that's something that's going to be replaced in 5 years, maybe it's wise, instead of throwing a bunch of money at an older machine, is to just, you know, spend that little bit extra on fuel for these next few years. And then when we replace the machine with something that is already has that conversion in it.
Any other questions on the budget?
Back to this morning. Years might be below my.
Sponsor.
Yeah. Get on the list. Any other questions? Thank Magna. It was a good presentation, and I think it makes us stop and think about budget like we should, looking more than this year. So I mean, I personally hate to see the rates go up that much, but I think, you know, fairness to the two municipalities, we probably need to do that. I guess if there's no other questions, we're at the stage where I need a motion to adopt the budget as presented.
I'll make the motion to adopt the budget as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
And that's carried. So back.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Guess the next thing is the under 18. Recommendation. I don't know who wants to speak to that. U18 LL, West Lawn Minor Hockey.
We just recently discussed this, with the ice time we're referring to is the Saturdays from 4 till 5:30 and Sundays from 8:30 till 10. For the last month, I believe I was able to rent the 4 to 5:30 time slot. So minor hockey was off the hook for that time. I did rent one of the 8:30 time slots on the Sunday. But moving forward, we have discussed kind of transitioning the Sunday time slot to the Wednesday time slot from 7 to 8 to better utilize that time slot, as well as give minor hockey the option of putting in younger age groups, which I believe they've solidified a group in there for the rest of the season. Moving forward from the last week in November on to the end of the season. So, which is good because we've had that sitting empty for the most part so far. So, and then the Saturdays at 4 is my really only time slot to rent to one-offs like we were talking before. So as those get rented, minor hockey, then it comes off of their contract. So that's where we're at with that group.
Minor hockey's reasonably happy with
Oh,
that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna utilize our U9 group that's overflowing right now.
We don't need to do any resolutions there. It's just being looked after by staff. Correspondence, I see, I don't think we have any correspondence on our agenda, but I see we do have a resolution there. It's something a little bit new, but Is that? No, no, correspondence, okay. Okay, we're going to new business, skating club update, Jim.
Up and going, seems to be issues, I think it. 7 members registered.
Pretty much it. Nice simple report. Minor hockey, Terry.
I just want to start by thanking Adam and his guys for doing a good job on the weekend and helping us out through the tournament. Everything ran smoothly, everything was on time, everything worked out great. It's a good collaboration between our groups of getting stuff done. It's actually a pleasure to work with. As far as the season's going, everything is good. I think we're over 200 registered now. We still have a couple coming in. And I imagine that's going to kind of dwindle once December 1st is roster deadlines. So it's hard for players to get in, get out, and move around and all that. But so far, yeah, it's been a good season. Everything's going good.
Arena renaming update. Jen, is that something you want to take off on?
So we've had one meeting, basically going over where we had left off with the arena renaming. So all the ideas, where money was for financials, deposits that we've put down, stuff like that. There's a few ideas that have come forward on things that we just hadn't put into the budget. So just looking into options for those, but we're hoping for 2024 to have the celebration. The Horvats are going to be in on the next meeting to give us some dates and some input as well. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks. We should have more of an update then.
That subcommittee hasn't had a chance to meet. So that will get pushed off to the next meeting.
Nothing really new. We just, like Terry said, we got through our black and gold tournament on the weekend and we've got another U18 tournament coming up in 2 weeks. Small tournament. But yeah, everything's running smooth. That's all I have to report.
And I guess from our side of it, administrative, just so that the board is aware, you've probably already heard that West Elgin is rolling out new texting, automated texting software, Trumpia, that's going to be used to provide updates for people who want to sign up. It's open now. People can go and sign up for that. And one of the things that's going to be used for is in the wintertime. Say we have a weather event where the arena is closed, where we have to close the arena due to weather. People can sign up, and we will send out a notice of that closure through that. It's text based, so you would just get a text to your cell phone informing you that the arena is going to be closed for the rest of the day due to weather. So we're hoping that because I know a lot of time. Like last winter when a lot of those things happen, throughout the course of the day. And so it's tough for everybody that have people coming, playing. So we ask the, we ask the groups to give us as much notice as possible. And if your group is not going to be, like the skating club, for instance, if they decide that the weather is such that they're not going to run that night, we just ask that you provide us that notice as soon as possible, and we will send that out if the facility is going to close.
Anything else from the committee? No questions for Lee? I just want to make the comment here. I have, haven't been in that arena very much until lately here. And I have to compliment staff on how that arena's kept. It's a good looking facility, nice and clean and well maintained, and it's good to see. So I don't think that was the case maybe 25 years ago. So, but anyways, and I guess the other comment I will make, I'll certainly take this budget back to council. We will also be addressing putting some money towards the craft hockey bill in this year's budget. So it'll probably be a while before we hear about that, but it's our plan to consider that at this time. So anybody else have anything that we should talk about while we're here? If not, I guess we need a resolution to adjourn the meeting. Uber. Carrie,
Yeah, I'll bring it forward.
seconder,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
all in favor? Carried.